Hello, beautiful human. Thank you so much for clicking on our conversation with Sia. She is an incredibly special human being. She has brand new music out together. She has a new movie on the way called Music. She's also been collaborating with both Ziegler sisters, Mackenzie and Maddie. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get her on the audio box.
Let's do this. Zach Show.
Hello?
Hi, it's Sia.
Hi, how are you?
You just got the end of my sentence. Someone who's always on their medication. I just asked my bodyguard, I was like, I'm doing all right, aren't I? Because I'm doing press all day. And I'm doing all right, aren't I? Being someone who's always on medication.
And what was his response? Was he able to properly diagnose you?
Yeah, he said, yeah, you're doing great. So, comforting.
By the way, you're doing a lot of promo because you have a lot to talk about. Because, one, an honor to even speak to you. And two, you've been able to create art in so many different facets of culture. And is it kind of wild to be doing promo, not just to push a record, but you're pushing your movie? Your movie.
It's really exciting. It was, I wanted to do it for so long, but I was too, I was too scared. I was too fearful. I was afraid people would make fun of me, like when actors make albums. And I don't know, but I really had the need to make this movie. There was a drive, a compulsion, and I had hit my professional goals in music, which was just to write a song for Beyonce and a song for Eminem. And once that happened, I was like, oh, and I started writing the screenplay because I'd had the story in my head for years and years and years. And I started writing the screenplay, and then I decided I start after a very, very difficult marriage. I was like, I can't make a movie. And then my best friend Dallas, who I'd written it with, he finally, after we saw La La Land, he was like, you could do that. You could do it. And I was like, you really think so? And he was like, yeah, dude. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So I called back the producer that I'd been talking to, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And it was really scary, and it's because of both Dallas and probably Lena Dunham. They both are the two people that I really heard when they said, you can do this. To have them believe in me, that was like, okay, that's okay. That he'd always say it straight with me. He'd never tell me a lie. So I could really, I don't know. So I just thought, okay, let's do it. And I jumped in and it was full baptism by fire.
By the way, that's a real friend, right? Like,
yeah, he's my very best friend in the whole world. I couldn't hope for a better. I'm so lucky. I've hit the jackpot in friendships, actually. But I'm a good friend, and so that's why I've got good friends.
By the way, not everybody in the entertainment industry can say that, right? That they have great friends around them. Because
it's true. I have a doctor who's fancy, right? Who basically all the actors and celebrities go to, and he's a holistic doctor, and he asks you who your 5 best friends are the very first time you go there, and then every year he checks. He's like, so, and who are your 5 best friends this year? And every time I say the same people, he looks completely shocked and surprised and delighted, and it makes me feel atypical.
Because it is, but there's something really special about that, and also it allows you to be your most vulnerable, right? Yeah, it allows you to ultimately be your most comfortable.
Yeah.
And you can push each other.
They know everything about me, and I know everything about them. They're above the line.
But it's when you have those relationships, you have the ability to then push somebody out of their comfort zone, which in turn could be the greatest thing to ever happen. Like music, to work with Kate Hudson and Leslie Odom Jr. I mean, you
and Maddie. Maddie plays a very low functioning teenager on the autism spectrum, and she is incredible. and we sent the film to the Child Mind Institute because, you know, obviously you want to be really sensitive when you're working with, you know,
Yeah.
just that sensitive material and sensitive to so many people. And autism looks different on everybody. And so we sent it to them, and we got 100% rating from them that her performance had been 100% convincing.
Was it? Can you explain your feelings as the director in that moment? And it's your job to kind of coach her through that role.
Massive pride. And I mean, she's a dancer, so she picks it all up. And for me, I based the character on a boy that used to be in AA meetings. His mum was the sign language interpreter, and his name was Stevie. And he was always at this one AA meeting. And so I loved him, and I had a friendship with him. And when I started to work with Maddie, I just basically taught her all of his tics and movements, and the way that he walked, and his vocalizations. And her character is 100% based on Stevie. And because she's a dancer, it was very easy for her to pick up the tics and the movements, because it's a very physical role.
Is music based on your reality?
Yeah, kind of. Some of it, yeah. Like, I mean, it's much. What most people who've seen it have said is surprising to them is because it'll make you cry, but then it will put your heart back together, and then you'll leave feeling really good. But that they thought it was going to be funnier because I'm funny. That's what, oh, privately, I don't know if I'm funny publicly, but my friends think I'm really funny. And so they thought it was going to be much funnier. And it's actually a drama. And it's about sobriety, and it's about connection, and it's about longing, and, you know, yeah, and freedom from your body. And because I had been diagnosed with these chronic pain issues, that I could really relate to just that aspect of Stevie's experience in the world. And I don't know. And, you know, Maddie's so darling. The first time she came for rehearsal, I could see something was wrong, and Kate Hudson was on her way, and I could see she was on the verge of tears. And I said, "Bubby, what's going on?" I said, "Are you okay?" And she just burst into tears, and she just said, "I just don't want anyone to think I'm making fun of them." And I said, "I will never let that happen." And I gave her a big hug, and I said, I promise, I'll never let that happen. That is not our intention, and I will never let that happen." So she was super sensitive to it too. And she was so brave and courageous to play this part. I just love her so much. She's boogie woogie.
There is a relationship between the two of you that is so, it is kind of like beautiful and masterful and artistic, and it extends into her sister. I mean, did you ever think you would bond this heavily with two like teenage sisters?
Well, I mean, as soon as I met Maddie, I felt this extreme desire to protect her, and I think that it was part of my own healing. And, you know, I don't know, I felt this extreme compulsion to protect her. And yet, you know, the irony is that I didn't want to be famous, and I threw this child into the spotlight. And she would say to me, "Don't be silly, I was already famous, and I wanted to be famous." And, you know, and I say, "And you know, it can stop at any time, right? Like, if you want it to stop, I can make it stop. Like, you can just go back to being a normal person again." But she said, "No, I just love it. I love performing. I love dancing, and I love acting so much." And so I thought, how's a good way I can keep her safe is just keep making projects for her. And therefore, most of the time we're working together. And, you know, and I kept her off a plane that Harvey Weinstein tried to get her on, you know. And I know that there's been times where my insight has really made a difference, like has kept her safe. Um, yeah, that was really disgusting.
Would you describe your relationship as a mother or as a sister?
Yeah, mother and friend.
In
But I mean, only because Melissa lets me. That's her real mother. Only because I would never be so presumptuous to say I feel like I'm her mother, because I did not do all the hard work that Melissa did for the first 11 years. I just love her as a mother. I love her as if she were mine. Feels like she's my firstborn, and even though she was 11, I would take a bullet for her. I guess all the things that parents would say they'd do for their children. And also I get extremely I'm like a bodyguard when she's around. Like, my bodyguard jokes that if I ever stop doing my singing thing, I should be a bodyguard because I'm so hyper vigilant around Maddie.
So as a mom, when she brings you a situation where she could be in the same on a plane with Harvey Weinstein, I mean, obviously your guard goes up, but how do you handle that?
When he invited her, that's when I called. I told Melissa I just said, please do not do that, do not do that, do not do that. And then even recently she was offered a part in a film, and I felt that the film wasn't good enough for her, and so I called Melissa and I was just, please don't do this. This isn't good for her career. It's not good for her long-term credibility. This is not a good co-star to be in a movie with. So I just try and help guide. And I can be a pain in the butt. I think her manager thinks I'm a real pain in the butt, I'm sure. And
yeah, but you're the needed pain in the butt. You're bringing to you have. You know what your horse in this race is? It's caring about her, right? There's no financial gain here. There's nothing but love.
Exactly. There's no agenda except for keep her safe psychologically and physically, but more primarily psychologically, because this business is very, very damaging.
Is it a big decision for you because it is damaging on so many different levels, and a part of you not wanting to be famous is obviously
and then throwing her in the spot. I mean, I feel terrible shame, because I had no, I wasn't conscious at the time. I had no idea Chandelier was going to be so massive. I just had no idea. And then she would blow up and be this famous little teenager. But I've taken responsibility for it, in as much as that I provide her security, and that that's the most I can do, really. And that I'm always here for her if she wants to cry or has a bad day or has questions about life. That's what I'm here for.
I just got goosebumps because not only did you provide, by the way, both Maddie and Kenzie at this point with legitimate credibility beyond Dance Mobs and any of all of that hullabaloo, credibility artistically on another level, but you provide a sense of family and friendship and I like to
think so. Definitely.
It's great. And by the way, that's rare. That's 1 in a trillion. 1 in a trillion. So let's dive in here. What is it like when you bring together to Maddie for the first time? Does she see it? Does she hear the vision? Do you have to explain it to her? What is that process?
Not at all. Basically, that was. I wrote it 4 years ago, and I wrote it actually after the movie had shot, because I was looking to write an end credit that was, really meaningful and that would work with the movie. And I think, I don't even know if I wrote it for the movie or whether I just wrote it, because sometimes I just write and then I figure who the song would be good for and I'll send it to them, or I'll keep it for myself. But in this, I don't remember whether I was I have to write a good hit song for the end of the movie. But we did write together, and I thought, I have to do this for the end of the movie. It's super important. I want to use this song, and Maddie heard it, and then she loved it, and then Ryan Heffington heard it, and then he put together. I said I wanted to have all the cast members back in as a grand finale, and so then he choreographs it, and then I have fun designing Maddie's costumes and Kate's costumes, and I don't know. I just love the whole process. That I love that process.
Is your next album going to be the soundtrack to the movie?
Sure. So, well, the first album will be. That's okay, son. You can come in. The first album is going to be them singing. So, Maddie and Kate and Leslie.
Wow.
And and then I've got a couple of songs on the soundtrack of the movie, and then the next one we'll probably put out 3 months later is my version of all of the songs before I change some of the lyrics and stuff to support the narrative of the movie, and so it'll be the original versions of the soundtrack, and then I have another album waiting to go, and that's called that's gonna be called Reasonable Woman, so I've just I think I've got enough songs to go for quite a while, maybe a year and a half or two.
I want to get to Reasonable Woman in a second, but to the movie again. Did Jack Antonoff? I know he worked with you on Together. Is he a part of the other songs on this soundtrack, or did you work with different people?
I used I used so many people. Like Labyrinth was who I used mostly. Labyrinth was my main collaborator. Then I used Diplo for the opening scene. Who's got a doggy?
I do. It's
I love dogs. They're my favorite. What is he telling you? Does he need to go outside? You do whatever you need to do, Papa.
He's saying hi to you.
Hi, back. I'm a dog lover to the max. So yeah, what were we talking about?
Labyrinth. Diplo started off.
Diplo, Jesse Shatkin, Jack Antonoff, Greg Kirsten. Yeah, we did. I did with a lot of my friends. I'm trying. If I forgot someone, I feel terrible. But yeah, I wrote songs with a lot of different people. And then the soundtrack was me and Labyrinth were supposed to do it, but then I realized I hated it.
Do you realize after it's done or in the middle?
No, while I was about trying to do the soundtrack, what's it called? The score. Yeah. Sorry, the score. Composing the score for the movie. And I realized how technical and mathematical it was. And I was like, Lab, I'm out. I was like, I can't do this. And then Lab was also really busy. And so a part of him was like, I'm kind of out too. So we found a wonderful composer, Craig, and yeah, he's done an amazing job. So we're very lucky.
By the way, LSD, in my opinion, is one of the greatest supergroups to ever come together.
It's my favorite album I've ever done.
Sonically, it is such a journey. Every little thing I can just see and feel, and your lyrics just, oh my God, they're matched so beautifully together. It's, oh.
Thank you.
Oh. Oh. It's genius, pun intended. Reasonable Woman, where are you at? Like, where were you writing this album? Like, how long ago?
I write all over the place. So, because I have I have one place that's on like a little bit of an island. It's not I'm not trying to be fancy. It's not fancy. I just have a place that's on a bit of an island, and that's where I'm quarantining with my family and friends and stuff. And then sometimes I live in LA, and then I sometimes I work in New York. But I just write them in my bed or on the sofa or at my friends' houses. They will drop tracks, and I'll just sing the melody straight away, and then that will be the melody. And then I will start writing the lyrics. And Reasonable Woman's accidentally already an album. That's only from I accidentally wrote enough songs and enough as far as my management were concerned that were singles that I have an album now.
So when did this start and when did it finish?
Probably after I finished writing the movie, I might have worked. I was editing, which was making me crazy and sad, and it was so difficult and a really difficult time. Something happened around after my divorce that was so disappointing that I actually got really suicidally depressed. And so just on every now and again, I would go maybe over to Jesse's house and write a song, or I would hear a song and then I would just send him the chords and ask him to send me back a produced song. And and that sort of, and then I was like, oh, I want to go back in with Greg. I haven't been in with Greg for a long time. And we do that for a little bit. It's just sort of dribs and drabs. And then I don't know how I end up with them, but it's not organized.
It's interesting because you have your long-standing collaborators who you feel comfortable and vulnerable with, and like you can share and be creative because you know these people. You very rarely get into a room with somebody new.
Yeah, no, I don't.
The fact that there's another album on the way and all of these amazing...
It's come out for at least a year. I mean, that's why I don't want to get people like jazzed for it, because otherwise I'm competing with myself. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Knock myself off the radio.
We hang with young artists all the time who are always like, when I write a song, I just want to get it out there. I just want to release it. I want it to be out there quick. Were you? Where'd you go? I can kind of hear you.
I think she dropped something because I could hear her laughing.
I said, I'm a grandma now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you don't want to be called Nana anymore.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. I want to be called Lovey like Chris Jenner.
That's cute, though. This is my Lovey. Like, that's kind of cute. I like that.
I don't care what they want to call me. They can call me whatever they like. It was definitely a surprise. I adopted two adults. I did adult adoptions with two 18-year-olds last year. And yes, and one of my sons had two children just very recently.
That's amazing.
So I am a nana. I became a nana in like less than a year.
Congrats!
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. They're very beautiful. I'm very lucky.
Do you write any records after becoming a mom?
Oh yeah, I've definitely written a bunch of songs after. Because for a lot of the time they were in like trauma recovery, and so they weren't necessarily always with me because I knew that they both had terribly, really shitty lives and horrific traumas, and I knew that I had the resources to help them with that, and so that's primarily for the first year what we worked on was just getting them to a place where they were ready to accept help, and that eventually that happened, and so there were periods, like long periods, where I didn't see them, and so I was definitely working, and I think I started writing probably songs that were about them,
Yeah.
or about the experience of becoming a mum.
Will those make it to Reasonable Woman?
Maybe. I would have to think about it because I can't remember what I've written in the last year. But probably there's one or two on there, I'd say already. But I'll write some more as well because it's going to be a year before it comes out, so I'll just keep replacing anything that feels like an album track with a single if I ever make a single. So then I can have like an album full of singles. That's fun. That makes me feel like a good songwriter then.
Is that the bar for you? An album full of singles?
Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I would dream about.
But how do you know it's a single?
Well, usually I can smell it or feel it, or somebody else can smell it and feel it.
Who do you trust?
My managers, JD and Le David.
Le David.
I call him Le David. It's because it's more fancy.
Yeah. It's much better than just normal David.
Yeah.
Now, I know you don't want to get ahead of yourself for Reasonable Woman, but do you have like a whole concept around it? Because I know a lot of people would say that I'm an unreasonable woman. So I'm very curious where that comes from.
Yeah, no, I just threw a bunch of songs together that felt good, that felt like they were like good songs and that I wanted to keep for myself. And then when we were talking about something, I was talking to my managers about something, and they called me the practical diva, or the pragmatic diva. And so I don't know. I think I was talking about. I think I had gone on a date with somebody or something, and and it wasn't going to work out, and so they were talking to me, and I think I just wrote back, I'm just a reasonable woman. And then I was like, ooh, album title, Reasonable Woman. And they both put like exclamation marks and love hearts on that. So I was like, okay, good. That's what we'll call it. But I'm a very reasonable person. I used to be very mentally ill. But I've been recovering for 20 years. And I've been sober for 10, let's say. So I learned a lot in that time. And then I've been in trauma recovery for the last 3.5 years since my divorce. So yeah, I'm just a pretty reasonable woman.
Can you listen to your music and kind of track your growth as a human being?
Oh, I would never. That sounds so boring. I could be watching a television show. I mean, that is the ultimate wank. Don't you think?
I mean, I guess.
I mean, I don't. There's zero need for me to go back and listen to my early songs and wonder about who I am. And like, I'm not. Us artists are narcissistic enough. Like, my whole point of in life has been trying to achieve ego death. So that's the last thing that I would do. I'm trying to live in the present moment.
By the way, before we dropped you, you were giving an answer that I think artists, especially young ones, need to hear about you being okay with putting out a song years later, because everybody wants immediate gratification in the music.
So did I. When I was, first in the biz, it was infuriating. It was frustrating. It was like, and but you just learn after a while. You realize, it's better if there is a strategy around releasing your album and singles. It's better if it's a good strategy. It's better if I guess I just realized you get into a place of acceptance where you realize that your music or your movie per se is just going to come out when it's supposed to. I mean, it's just going to accidentally, maybe kismet, it's going to come out when it's supposed to. It's going to hit or miss. We are so lucky that Together really speaks to the moment, because having written that song so long ago, if I had been an impatient teenager, or like I was in my 20s even, I might have blown it.
It wouldn't be the same. You're right. Totally. And by the way, isn't that a sign of a timeless record?
Oh, I hope so.
I think,
you know what I like? They're called evergreens. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I have a few evergreens. Diamond by Rihanna, that's one. And then Cheap Thrills. And then guess what? The surprise evergreen is that I just found out about.
What?
Dusk Till Dawn with Zayn Malik.
Yes, it is. By the way, on all the big playlists still.
And that's in the top 10. And then so I think I was 11 was Chandelier, and then 13 was another one that I'd written for someone. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can really go to sleep now and just focus on being a mum.
A mom who also directs movies and
no, that's done.
That's done. So but you're gonna do a TV show.
Oh yeah, but I'm only going to direct the first or second episode. It's with Judd Apatow right now. I'm really hoping he'll say yes, that he wants to do it with us.
Manifest.
But we did it to, we were working with Brad Falchuk, who was wonderful, and we loved Brad, but he has a deal with Netflix and they passed on it. So no normal people wouldn't tell you these things. But I don't care because I know it's so funny. It'll be picked up by somebody. So Yeah, well, working on a TV show with my best friend Dallas, but that's like life under the wig. It's not. It's not about. It's a. But it is based on my real life, which is, I mean, a pageant of the bizarre. If you were here, you just wouldn't believe it.
But you're a reasonable diva at the end of the day.
The reasonable, pragmatic, practical diva.
Are you happy? No wig? Seeing you in interviews, like with Good Morning America the other day, it was a beautiful conversation. But
that was a wig, by the way. And those were glasses, and I had contacts in, and I had prosthetics, and I had my lips done weird. So I don't look anything like that person. But you know, I wanted to promote the movie with my eyes, because you can't talk about emotional things. I think it's difficult. It's hard to. I don't know. I just thought I can't wear the pop star get up when I'm doing an interview as a director. It's been a weird, like, how am I going to get around this? So that's why we got that funny little disguise going.
Wait, it's a disguise. I don't.
Yeah, I don't look like that at all.
You fucking win.
It makes sense about the eyes thing, because, you know, they say the eyes are the window to the soul. So if you're talking about something that you feel so passionately about, you want to be able to, you know, look at someone's eyes and their expression.
I really did want to. Because I care about this movie. I do. And I do care. I care a lot. That's why it took 4 years for me to really feel like it was in the right place to put out. And so I figured if I was going to do any promotion for it, that I would need my eyes.
And we have a lot of people to thank, but on the list, Dallas, your best friend, pushing you.
And yeah, he's the bomb. He's the best in the world. He saved my life in a lot of different ways, you know, because I told you I got very suicidal after the divorce. And he basically saved my life. So that song saved my life. I wrote that about Dallas.
Oh, wow. Well, I that must have been like a really, was that, would you still call it a full circle moment playing that song for him for the first time?
Yeah, I like what I asked him if he would film himself, and I shouldn't have, but because I was curious. But then he did film himself for listening to it. But then he called me back and he said I was so uncomfortable because being filmed that I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So I was in my head. And he said, so I was like, am I supposed to be dancing or? So the video is very strange. But I know that he felt it in his heart, so that's all that matters.
and ultimately, a message that you needed to send, no matter what, a message you need to get out.
Definitely.
Hey,
yeah, I had to get it out. Really, I just really wanted it out. That was a bloop that I was like, I felt it was a teenage moment, because I could have kept it for Reasonable Woman, but it was a teenager moment. It was because it was around COVID as well, and it just felt like a song that might be comforting to people, and yeah, so I might have spooched too early on that one just because I was in the moment, but you know. Well, who cares?
It's okay. There's others to come.
We're all just floating through space.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
But, weird to say, like, you're calling yourself semi-retired, but like that's not really, like, that's not accurate. Right?
Well, you said what my management would say.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm almost fully retired, but I do still do a bit of work here and there.
Well, would you consider semi-retired only doing music for yourself? What you want to do, select sessions? Like, you don't do a lot of sessions for other people, except for like Kenzie.
Yeah, no, I never. We didn't do a session together. That song came to us.
Oh,
and
really?
I thought it was such a good song. I was like, oh, if she doesn't do it, I'll do it. And because I now finally, my ego can let me, like, I would sing another person's song, even though I'm fully capable of writing my own songs. So I would never before. I would be like, oh, I don't do other people's material. But this one was so good, and I love Kenzie, and I want to support her. And, you know, I think it's awful that she's had to live in Maddie's shadow her whole childhood. It's so damaging. And I want her to have her independence and you know, her own thing. And I wanted to support her, and I thought the song was great. But we weren't in the room together, and I don't even know who produced that track. They just sent it to me. And then I never do sessions with. I rarely do sessions with artists. I like Pink's I like her personality so much, so I do them with her. I did do a session with SZA, Solana, and she was awesome, fun, really amazing girl. And just every now and again. Oh, and I did one with Dua Lipa, and that's what Saved My Life came out of.
Wow.
And so I just sometimes I'll try with new people, because some people slow me down, other people I can totally collaborate with. But if it's a slow me down person, I can't. It'll drive me crazy. If they're over analytical or that it drives me crazy, because I just want to blurt the song out and let's get done. Get her done.
Get her done. But you don't know that before until you get into the room with somebody, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then if I have one, I only schedule one day at a time, because I don't want to, like, if I don't like it, I don't want to cancel the next day, because that would be rude.
Beautiful. So it's just take every day as it comes.
Yeah, just one day at a time. And but most of the time I'll write for people, but just with me and the producer, or the producer will send me tracks and I'll write to the tracks.
Got it.
For people. Like if they're saying blah blah's looking for tracks, I'll be like, okay. So I'll put myself in that headspace, or just write songs, and then after I've finished writing them, I'll be like, this one feels like a Britney song, or this one feels like a Beyonce song, or this one feels like a Rihanna song, or a Katy song.
What part of that process fulfills you?
Oh, I love writing songs. Love. The best moment of it is when they played the track for me for the first time, and I press record on my computer, and I sing to the track and intuit where it's going, and I do my melody, and I just hope that I'm gonna intuit it goes in the right place, and my melody, and usually it does. Like I've got some weird intuition thing, and so always the first melody is the one that I use, and it takes me 2 minutes to write the melody, because all I have to listen to is the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, and the post-chorus, and I have the melody. So it takes me less than 2 minutes to write the melody, and then the lyrics take a little bit longer. But if it's a good song, if it's one of those ones that's going to be probably successful, it usually takes way little amount of time. If I'm struggling with it, it's probably going to be an album track, or I'm in the trash, or giving someone else.
Is your melody detector, like, is that a muscle? Is that a trained skill? Like, how would you describe that? Or is it a gift?
I do not know. I think it's a gift, because I do not know.
Wow.
I really do not know. But I'm getting the wrap up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We've been talking to you for far longer than I know you have time for. But I can't thank you enough.
You guys. You're all very beautiful.
You are beautiful as well. I mean, Dan, Ricky, you guys good?
You went all time. No, but yeah, I mean, this is very interesting.
Nice to hear your voice for the very first time.
I know. Well, I mean, hopefully in the future we can do this again.
I would like that. You guys are really nice.
You are spectacular, and truly, and I say this without being like a corny asshole, you are an icon, and your music has shaped and changed my life, so I thank you very much.
Thank you.
And what you're doing for those Ziegler sisters is a game changer, and I have just a lot of respect and appreciation, so thank you for giving us time.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Thanks for helping me promote my movie.
Well, anytime, and we're doing good work if we're sharing your art, so anytime.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much.
Well,
I'm handing you up to Selvin, who'll hang up because I don't know how to.
Okay. Bye, Sia.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Hey, beautiful human, thanks for watching our full interview, but I get it. Like, a full interview is a lot, so we got a clips channel. We don't expect you to watch the full thing anymore, so we just gave you the highlights. Please subscribe and notifications and all that stuff. Okay, cool. I love you.